Working? Thank you, firstly, to Somnath for that wonderful film. I think we can give him another round of applause, please. I want to talk about Gail as well as the film itself and Somnath's work in it. I think I should start with the film, I think. Uh, this film is in keeping with Somnath's style, and I've said this before about his films Bhima Koregaon and Chaitya Bhumi, which is that his films kind of allow you to be where everything was happening. It's very intimate. It makes you feel like you were there. And I say this particularly now in this context, I was not expecting to cry in this film, for example. I was a documentary film about Gail, it might be, a documentation of her work, but then there were these moments, and that reminded me of, I recently lost a very close relative, and we were sharing these videos of hers, and that's the way we remember her. And this, to me, my mind, considering how we in the Ambedkarite Dalit movement know Gail through her writing, we did not know her in person, and yet we felt an intimate connection with her. And thanks now to this film, that connection has grown a lot deeper. Thank you, Somnath, for that, for keeping with your style. Now, there was a statement that stood out in the film. Somebody said Gail stood out in the barren state of India's knowledge production. The barren state of India's knowledge production. And this to me means a hell of a lot, because about 20 years ago when I was in journalism school, we were looking for frameworks through which we could understand India, because when you're going out to report, you can't just go in without knowing some context, political context. And for us, I mean, the small group of Dalit students that were in that class, there were, I think, to my mind, 3 books that really brought this entire thing together for us. One, of course, because it's a journalism school, Synopsis, everybody loves a good drought. But then, luckily, there was also Why I'm Not a Hindu and Dalits and Democratic Revolution. And that book, I think, helped me as a journalist a hell of a lot to kind of understand the basics of India's politics. For instance, I started my career reporting in Karnataka. There's lots of interesting material in that book on Karnataka. For example, the politics of Ramarajya, in the context of the state of Mysore, the Mysore Maharaja, and how, for example, there was a ban on the entry of Ambedkar, and Gandhi was very welcome. The red carpet was rolled out for him. Little things, Devraj Aras and his contradictions. So these are things, I suppose, if it weren't for Gail, I would have never ever understood these things. And knowing these things allowed me to go into the field and see movements, leaders, politics for not just what they are, what they were, where they are coming from. So Gail, in that sense, is somebody who helps us with a counter-telling of India. My first question, if you'll allow me, now that I've said this, I'll keep it short, just 1 or 2 questions, and then I think I should throw it open to you. You've been waiting for long enough. ये 8 साल क्यों लगा? ये picture, why did it take 8 years is, I think, a simple enough question to start with. This film took 8 years. What happened in these 8 years? फिल्म में जो है वो तो इम्पोर्टेंट है ही, बट काफ़ी ऐसी चीज़ें होंगी जो नहीं है फिल्म में, जो आपके उसमें जो अनुभव है, उनका ज़रा जिक्र करिए, उसको ज़रा शेयर करिए, सोमनाथ.
Jai Bhim, everyone, and thank you so much for coming. I chose my previous film last year, same place. I think that date was 29 January, and today is the 7th January. I started my career from this city, and person sitting behind me, Sudipto, was responsible me to come this city. I think I mentioned last time also. We are like a good friends, like last 8-9 years, and my career is also like a 9-year-old. Like a pre-Rohit, when Comrade Govind Pansare's murders happened and Sudipto contacted me, and then he recommended me to work for a small time in Amnesty. So I was in a city in Amnesty, and that time I associate with few of his friend who are documentary filmmakers. And I edited my first documentary. Actually, this is a second feature-length documentary on Bhima Koregaon in a city. And we are continually, and maybe but first time we are sharing a stage. See, uh, I don't know how many people know about my hometown. I don't know how many people is from Maharashtra. It's just 15 kilometers from Gail Omvedt's village, Kasegaon. We are actually in the same town. And interestingly, my town, if you know Annabhav Sate, the Gail Omvedt's village, Kasegaon, and Annabhav Sate's village, Vategaon, with just 7 kilometer distance. And I went to my town. It's called Islampur, like 2 months back. Now it's called Ishwarpur. Yeah, because they changed the name. Like many cities in Maharashtra, whatever like Islamic name, they changed the name. So I started associate with the progressive politics. And Gail Omvedt's family, the Bharat Patankar side of family, is not a Dalit family. Many people have this confusion. And this is an old Satyashodak Maratha family. But Maharashtra have this history. Even the last section from the Dalit community, they converted in a Buddhism. But there are many individuals like Bharat Patankar and Gail Omvedt, and even the Kosambis also, they also converted in Buddhism. So this belt, especially in the Dekkal belt, is a long history of Satyashodak movement. And even Gail Omvedt come to India, not research on Dalit movement. It's on Satyashodak movement. And the question why it take 8 years. I started, yeah, I become old. I started this film end of the 2017. But the before 2017, at least I was associated with Bharat and Gail, I think when I was in my graduation. It started in 2012, 2013, but that time I was not interested in filmmaking. And when I decided to make a film, one reason that I make this film because our people are completely deleted, ignoring from the cinematic world. There is no any film on Namdev Dasar. There is no single film of any Dalit intellectual, Dalit activist, Dalit scholar, no one. Even people like Gail Omvedt, even people who are non-Dalit but associate or sacrifice their life for the Dalit, they are not part of the cinematic life. So this is the small attempt to make our people in a public domain. So it's because, and parallelly I was doing my research and we don't get funds is a major problem. And I just wanted to follow for a longer time. That's one reason. And in between then I make a Chaitya Bhumi. That's why it's take a long time.
No, it's interesting that you talked about this invisibilization, Somnath, because one of the things that again, a quote from Gail that stands out in the film, where she cites this very, very famous quote in the American context: Rosa sat, so Martin could walk. Martin walked, so Obama could run, and Obama ran, so that your children could fly. Now, in the context of India, to my mind, there is a longer arc in which you can accommodate that statement. And there's a shorter arc of the last 10 years. The Rohit Vemula movement, right? And, I was just looking at that. There's a very beautiful frame in his film. I'm sure most of you would have liked it. It's very gripping, the scene where Bharat is feeding and then cleaning up after Gail. And that's when this struck me that, Gail might end up being like many of those brilliant people who are discovered after their life. And that's India's tragedy, that's our collective tragedy. It's also an example of how much force there is behind this invisibilization. So yeah, I mean, this 2016 turning point, जहाँ से हम सब in a way reborn हो गए. Tell me about these last 10 years. इस सवाल के बाद, in fact, after you answer, I want to open up for public questions. इस सवाल को answer करने के time सोमनाथ भाई ये बात हमने we have discussed it many times. This longer arc, let me also cite the longer arc of this Rosa kind of analogy, where Rohit Vemula movement was described as the third Dalit wave, which is Ambedkar, Kanshiram, Rohit Vemula. And when I say wave, it means what they left in their wake, what they left, what they managed to create. So that's why इन 10 सालों में क्या हुआ, आप तो इन 3 फिल्मों के वजह से you've traveled all over the world, आपने दुनिया आपके फिल्म में भी ये देखा हमने कि दुनिया भर के जो अम्बेडकरेट ब्लू मूवमेंट्स हैं उनसे आपका मतलब काफ़ी अच्छा रिलेशन बन गया इन 10 सालों में. Tell me about their movements, tell me about where the Dalit nation is today.
See, maybe people don't like this. After Rohit Vemula's caste become a market, many people jump suddenly. You know how many films on Rohit Vemula? 5 documentaries. How many books? When Sudipto's books is also coming. So, see how many articles, how many research paper. So, sometime I was thinking like they are waiting to someone die from the community. You know, someone suicide. Even same thing with the Bhima Koregaon violence. See how many books. Before 18, there was nothing. I made a film on Bhima Koregaon before 18. And after 18, you see. So, but the positive thing we can say in my travel, this is not now just Indian movement. This is like a global. And maybe like my next project, because I travel and I record a lot of things, this is not like Suraj Angde's recent book. You know, his book is actually a study of 16 countries and how caste become a global problem. You know, there is one city called Leicester in UK. I think few months back there, the violence happened, the Hindu-Muslim violence. And a lot of caste discriminations cases are there. So parallelly, the right-wing Hindus they are spreading across the world. And parallelly, the Dalit movement who are questioning them across the globe. These two things are happening parallelly.
और कुछ बोलना है? बहुत कुछ बोलने के लिए. There's a lot to talk about. Yeah. You know, given for example that right now on the 17th in New York there's going to be a major event to commemorate 10 years since Rohit Vemula, and you know, and I suppose more than ever now is a question to look at. Now is the time to look at the question of caste in South Asia. Look at what happened in Nepal, what happened in Bangladesh, what's happening in Sri Lanka. You know. That said, I think I should open up for questions. Can I see hands going up? Anyone? Statements, questions, reactions, responses, favorite sections. This is not a question, this is just a statement. Comment. Thank you. The first one always is the difficult one. Then the questions will flow, I hope.
Hi, I think the movie is really well made.
Please introduce yourself.
I'm Preeti, I'm from TIS. The movie is really well made, and there are parts. I mean, I feel like good things take time, so I think it's really worth it. Regarding Rohit Vemula, I think people just commercialized it, and that's why your work is really important, because people like you need to talk about it more. And I have seen Rohit Vemula becoming commercialized in the university campus space, like people from different funding agencies and politics got involved in a deeper level. But I think at the end of the day, what matters is awareness and how important it is to hold on to it. But yeah, congratulations again.
हाय जय भीम. मेरा नाम शाश्वत है. रिसेंटली मैंने हमीद अवलकर सर के साथ काफ़ी काम किया था लास्ट साल में. एंड एक अम्ब्रेला ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है महाराष्ट्र में, अनीस, जो नरेंद्र दाभोलकर ने स्टार्ट की थी, क्या आपका कोई प्लान है ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के काम को कवर करने का, या फिर जो ये जनरेशन ऑफ इंटेलेक्चुअल जो लास्ट डेकेड में वैनिश हो गए इन अ सेंस, उनके आइडियाज़ कैसे कैरी फॉरवर्ड हो रहे हैं इन क्लाइमेट जहाँ पे ऑब्वियसली हिम्मत रखना भी मुश्किल है कि हम इस क्लाइमेट में फंडिंग मुश्किल है। तो आपका इसको लेके क्या सोच है? आप क्या आपको लगता है कि आपके काम से इन मूवमेंट्स की स्टोरीज़ कवर करके आप इन मूवमेंट्स को आगे बढ़ा सकते हैं, और आप किन मूवमेंट्स को कवर करना चाहेंगे? बिकॉज एज वी नो महाराष्ट्र इज़ अ हॉट बेड ऑफ certain movements which are rooted very much to the grassroots. Thank you.
So what's his question? क्या बोल रहा था? क्या बोल रहा था? वो हिंदी और इंग्लिश? हाँ? नहीं, what he said? आपने सुना? नहीं. Can you someone explain what he said? Like he wanted to
cover the
other.
organizations like Understand the Ambulance সংস্থা.
See, I have zero interest to cover the people from the dominant caste and their movement. I want, like everyone have their choice and limitations, and I wanted to use my knowledge and my resource on, especially on marginalized stories. Obviously, I have respect for like this non-Dalit progressive movements in Maharashtra, but I don't have any plan or anything to follow them. Maybe people from dominant caste, they can take initiative and follow these things.
Jai Bhim Somnath.
Jai Bhim.
Jai Bhim Sudipto. This Asim. Thank you for making this film. Really powerful and very important. I was also very emotional while watching it, like Sudipto said. My question to you is, I think Gail Omvedt is probably the best scholar on India who has brought caste, class and gender in such deep integrity. But we know these movements on the ground are not always, there are also tensions in this, whether it is the anti-caste movements or the left movement and the feminist movements, there are tensions as well. But she was able to bring it together in a way that no one else can. Would you like to say something about how she was able to do on the ground and in her scholarship this kind of straddling?
In like my understanding, and I also, like as an Ambedkarite, like we have this debate like left versus Ambedkarite. But as a filmmaker, I go with the truth that Gail come with the Marxist tradition. And you know, her life is also like, if you follow her first 10 year, after 10 year, and when she become, you know, there is one photograph with Kanchiram and Gail Omvedt. That actually was a program from Nagpur where that was actually BAMSEF's founding day. And Gail was giving a speech. So this is also Gail, you know, even her early stage, she is more associated with the left. Even she was associated with the farmers' movements in Maharashtra. Like what there is one leader called Joshi. She was also part of that. And so her life is like a shifting slowly. Like many people like shift like a left to Ambedkarite. And interestingly, I found in her last funeral, the three groups are claiming on her. You see, you know, the left was also there. The Buddhist Ambedkarite groups was also there. And Satyashoda groups was also there. And yeah, I feel like, but like ending of her, if you see like her last 10 years, she is more with the Dalit movement. With the Dalit movement, yeah.
So thank you, Somnath. So my question is like, when you make Bhima Koregaon after Mangaon and now Diksha Bhumi and even in Gail and Bharat, you deliberately capture music in every single documentaries. So can you just talk about it? Do you have any specification? Do you stop for the music?
I just like music. Like I feel like a music is, and interestingly in Maharashtra Dalit movement, music is very important part. Songs and music. Like especially and like a Mahar community have a long history of the music. So they don't have any occupation. Like there are the Dalit caste, they have specific occupation. So Mahar don't have any occupation. They have this music and security also. So yeah, and they have root of Varkari Sampradaya. And yeah, and that's why the music, and this is also respect to the musicians, like the people who conserve Ambedkarite movement through the music. Yeah.
Thank you, Somnath. Wonderful movie. I think the intimacy, which has been pointed out by everything, is very strong. And I also found it challenges your personal choices in some sense for us. So that's the thing. But I just wanted to also bring the conversation to some of the ideas. There was a thing where Gail reads out about how capitalism, in some sense, co-opts earlier forms of exploitation into its own class relations and thing. But to challenge that and to kind of see the other side of things and create a conversation, has urbanization, has the markets also created a force that anonymizes and kind of is progressive from a caste perspective? What is the conversation around that on the one side? And on the other side, from a constructive perspective, is there work to be done to make sure that social kind of differences do not show up in the ability to participate in the market, and the work to be done on that front, so that that market can be an equalizing force, right? Just to throw that, it's not just to you all, for everybody to converse on.
Give some lecture. See, this is the most difficult film for me because, like, see, she's a renowned writer, activist, and this is the first project where the family members have also, like, stakeholders. So, see, I decided to make this film more personal and make other people also a second character in the film, but focus on her and slowly tell. See, her, and another thing, her writings are in a public, right? Anybody can read, but nobody knows her personal life. And also, I presented her personal life without romanticizing. If you see, there are filmmakers, they fictionize a lot of things. Single scene of this film, I fictionize, or I tell them. Even the interview part, I just tell Bharat, whatever, we have 3 hours interview, and I decided that part only. And that's why. And keep more discussion around the caste question. That's my choice. And also the connection of the caste and the race. And the entire debate. So people can think like according to like what part they wanted to take from the film. Yeah.
No, just to add, I think the question of ideology, the questions arising out of her scholarship, such as the ones you're asking, about the market, what kind of, ideological, spatial frameworks facilitate the erosion of caste dynamics. And all of that are questions, I suppose, which this film does not obviously answer, and I don't think the filmmaker should answer that question either, But, and it's important to sidestep these questions and bring focus, on, like Somnath was saying, on the family. And I say this, with some, if you'll allow me, insistence, because as a Dalit, as an Ambedkarite, this means a lot to those in the room. I don't know, those of are from the movement, from the community, right? It's literally like हमारी नानी को देखने को मिला, you know, and that is, I suppose, an important thing. While we are discussing ideology, while we are discussing frameworks, for which there are other places, other forums, you know, and perhaps this might not be the best forum. But that said, I suppose, you know, it is also both tragic. I think it's a little tragic that Gail should be discovered through Somnath. Somnath, ये बात मैं आपको इज्जत देते हुए बात बोल रहा हूँ मैं. Gail Omvedt being discovered through Somnath and some joker called Sudipto Mandal. I mean, like, come on, you know, there has to be some, you know, sense of occasion, sense of who we are, our own limitations, you know. But that is the tragedy, that today a lot of people in this room would have discovered the existence of a Gail and a Bharat thanks to two idiots. Not idiots in the sense, you know, I'm an idiot, but no, what I'm saying is that do you understand that invisibilization that we talk about, that frustration from where I speak, that why is it that you haven't read already Buddhism in India? Why haven't you already read Dalits and Democratic Revolution? Why haven't you read about the history of the non-Brahmin movement in Western India? Shame.
Interesting things. Gail was never ever full-time professor in India. You know, Sudipto? Never ever. She was a full-time professor. Just imagine. The random people are professors, deans, vice chancellors. Gail, like a scholar, like a Gail Omvedt, she was not a full-time job in this country. See, you know what they made? A chairperson of Ambedkar chair, Phule chair. And even she didn't receive any government award. And no filmmaker from the Marathi, Hindi, Kannada, Malayalam, Tamil to think to make this story is a film story. Nobody. So it's like how, you know, they invisibilize people. So that's the thing we are just trying.
Jai Bhim. My name is Pratham. I have a question. Like earlier, you said that the film took 8 years to make, right? So when it took like such a long time, what were some difficulties which you faced in terms of like either technical difficulties or like for me, if I had to do a long-term project, there could be a risk of like losing the focus or what I wanted to do. So were there any such challenges which you faced, and if yes, how do you deal with it?
I received this question many times. So mostly people ask this question, so I don't want to answer. And why I always like tell about the difficulties and problems. So no difficulty. Yeah, I don't want to victimize myself.
This is see. So I work in an independent news outlet, and Somnath is an independent filmmaker, and we have something we call the CTA. Okay, the call to action. What is the call to action? The call to action is to fund Somnath's films.
Yeah, produce my film.
We don't have to start a revolution in this room. What can happen in this room is that you can pull out that phone of yours, do that GPay. If there is an account, there is no account, I don't know. There should be an account if there isn't, right? Because I know, I mean, now having made a film myself, आपको मालूम है ना वो हमने वो यात्रा का picture बनाया. You know, it is such a difficult thing. You know, we think that it is the same as what you produce for YouTube. I used to think filmmaking, you know, because हम लोग तो we do like, you know, something happens as reporters, we go and do these video stories, and making a film is something very different. It's very expensive. It's a very, very, very expensive thing. So really the call to action, please. I mean, if anybody is going to come and ask him questions about ideology, can I be the policeman with a danda and say, please push away? I would want, if I can, after this also to facilitate a serious conversation about fundraising. How is a brilliant filmmaker like Somnath going to continue to make films? How much did this film cost? What were the post-production expenses? These are very important questions. Those are the questions, I think. Yeah.
You know, I put this line first time in my film that we don't receive any grant or any fellowship or any funds. If you see the filmmakers, I don't want to take, maybe they are lucky filmmaker from India. And see the last slide of their film. And see how much fund they receive. You just see the slide. And this is very close group, upper caste group. And they are just keeping their network within them. But for us, we are not, like, money is obviously important, but our more thing is that to contribute for the movement and keep this discussion. So that is our main thing. And this film is just maybe 2 lakh is the budget of this film.
No, just to take this money conversation forward, money is a very uncomfortable conversation, and I think we should have it, right? I'll give you an example of, Somnath talked about the book that I was trying to write. There's this fellowship that I applied for, in which I was shortlisted out of hundreds and probably close to 1,000 people. Around 11 people were shortlisted, and the panel's question was, "Oh, you're writing about Rohit. Why are you not writing about Kanhaiya?" Okay, and I said, because I want to ensure that people such as you don't contribute to the erasure of Rohit. Because they were saying, who will remember Rohit 7 years from now? You've compared Rohit to Travion Martin. Who will remember Travion Martin? Don't we remember Travion Martin? Don't we remember Rohit Vemula? 10 years, So the point over here is this funding is connected to ideology, right? And the question before us, I suppose, as an audience over here participating in this film screening is, what is our ideology means, where is our money? Ideology means, where is our money? Vote with your money.
Can I ask you a question, Javin? So you were saying that the tragedy is that we're discovering Gail through you. I'd say that the tragedy is that we're discovering Gail at this age. And my question was, I haven't actually read Gail's books, but I used to wait for her columns when I was 30, 35 years ago. मेरा प्रश्न ये है कि आप कभी uncomfortable नहीं हो, weren't you ever uncomfortable filming Gail in whatever medical condition she had at this point in her life? Didn't that worry you? Is that not something that?
See, I'm not an outsider for this film. Because, because my hometown and we know each other before film also. I'm not someone from the Delhi or Mumbai or a Bangalore, just take my camera and make Gail as my data. Okay, there are photographers, like they just went to Adivasi, and clip. So there are some points, especially like after her death, I stopped working for a year. So that one thing was there, that because I just feel like, I was no Gail Omvedt, and even I recorded her death and she's no more now. So that one thing, and I always keep to not record few part. And always very respectively, even if I open my camera. So yeah.
If there are any film students, film experts over here, I just was wondering if we can have a conversation about this very, very gripping frame. I suppose all of you can agree on that, right? That the part where Gail is feeding, being fed. Any thoughts at all about that, if anyone's coming from a film background? Because to my mind, there was this film that it brought back, The Horse of Turin. This film about, anyway, never mind. If any of you have watched it, very long, gripping frames. Film students, anybody?
Jai Bhim. Jai Bhim, just I have a small question here. The observance, not hearing? Hello. Audible? Yes. Yeah, I have a small question here. Film is well made. That only basic thing is you might have every producer or whoever does the film, they will be having, it should reach to the maximum possible audience. But here, I don't know how far it is not come in the main field, right? As you told, you didn't get a scholarship or any support, and you have managed through some associations or something like that. So when it does not come into the open field, like so many films are failing like this, which is having a real community-based and important thing, there is a message. That exactly what message you wanted to give out of this to the large, that is we, the depressed class people of India. We the people of India, we the depressed class people of India. What is that, whether it is reaching to the maximum extent as per your expectation. If not reaching, what is to be done in future? Please.
Oh, not senior. No, no, no. My whole thing with the difficulties to produce the films, and if you know, documentary films don't have a theater in India. I don't know about the Europe or anywhere, but I think whatever film I'm making, I just feel that we are pushing discussions, and it's on audience only what part they want to take, and what part they don't want to take. So I'm thinking like whatever, like a literature or an article or a film, we are just contributing for the discussion. That's my thing.
All right, if there are some more questions, but I suppose you can take it out.
Last one.
Last one?
Yeah.
Can we have a last question?
One
Okay.
last question.
There are three. Two. Okay, two last questions. Yes. ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಮುಂದೆ ಬರಕ್ಕೆ ಹೇಳಿ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ. माइक नहीं पकड़ता उधर. वो माइक नहीं पकड़ रहा. हाँ 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 अभी पकड़.
Hello. Thank you for your film. I had a question. See, one thing that really stood out. I've read Gail before in papers, but I didn't know that she was like. What stood out was how accepted she is by everybody. And I was wondering, as a person who came from outside of India, who's American, how did she really, break into Indian society and gain that kind of acceptance in the movement? You have any thoughts?
Can we take the second question also? He can answer that together. The second question somebody had? Oh goodness. Okay. Yeah.
Sorry. Uncomfortably so,
Exactly.
maybe invites us audiences in a sort of privileged setting at least to engage with a life in a non-fictionalized or minimally fictionalized way. Plus also I think I would love to know about your positionality, which you mentioned as well, as a non-outsider, as someone who belongs in that identity setting, in the proximity with lived experience. Still that choice of holding static shots which are minimally intrusive per se, are there more layered meanings to that? But this is what came to my mind immediately. It's almost like a window, and for some reason it also paralleled in my mind to that static frontal shot of Baba Saheb's statue, in some way, which came earlier, like against the sky. And then also Gail framed at the center with the empty chair as Bharat walked out. So that was some thoughts I had about that frame.
Yeah, hi. My name is Anisha. I wanted to take off and respond to some of the things that both of you have been saying. Somnath, you mentioned invisibilization, and Sudipto, you talked about, the question of who will remember, Rohit in that many years, right? This whole pitting of Ambedkar and Gandhi has been going on for a long time. And as a reporter, when I used to, once I happened to go to a village in North Karnataka, and I see it's in April, and there was an Ambedkar Jayanti celebration happening over there. Yeah, yeah, and yeah, everywhere you go, you see people who have kept Ambedkar alive, you know. When Gandhi Jayanti happens, there's a bunch of old men, 60-year-old, who will come out from somewhere and have one random program in one like small little event attended by exactly 5 people. But everywhere you go, you see Ambedkar's ideas kept alive. How do we know about Ambedkar? It's because people have kept him alive. They think of him, they live his ideals. And yeah, like I'm just...
You know, there's a saying, no, Anisha. Anisha is my colleague from the News Minute, very good journalist. You should read her work. But you know, there's this thing. You know, the state kept Gandhi alive. The people kept Ambedkar alive.
Yes, yes. You know? And yeah, I mean, and I would like to take this a little more forward. I mean, like there's this book called Women Writing in India, where the editors talk about how some of the women's poetries and writings were kept alive and passed down from mother to daughter. So it is these people who have kept all of this alive for us, people like Gail, people like Ambedkar and all of that, because of whom we know things that might possibly make us better human beings, at least some of us. Yeah, so I mean, thank you for making the film.
That's Praveen Tallepalli with the closing comments. One of the founding members of BAPSA. It's important. It's important. We're talking about invisibilization, so I think visibilization is the counter. So the person is going to ask the question. I don't know if he's making a statement. I don't know. This is Praveen Tallepalli. Praveen Tallepalli is one of the co-founders of this very radical organization in JNU called BAPSA.
Sudipto, please wait, yeah. It's okay. It's okay. See, I'm very much fine being an unknown person in this country called India. I'm absolutely fine with whatever I'm doing. See, these are some comments, and Somnath, you don't have to take my comments and questions seriously. I know your work for a very, very long time. But this is for the general understanding that I'm offering these suggestions and comments. First point is, there are 3 women, one Gail Omvedt, second Eleanor Zelet, third is Rosalind O'Hanlon. So these are 3 women, 2 happen to be American, 1 happens to be British. These 3 women are actually bringing Phule and Ambedkar into academia. They come with the discipline of sociology and history. And because of these 3 women, remember they're not white men, they're women, white women. Because of these 3 women, you have people like Phule and Ambedkar entering into mainstream disciplines called sociology and history. First point. The second point is, Gail did not win her scholarship so easily. For the fact that in the pages of EPW, she had to literally struggle with someone like Balgopal, someone like Utsa Patnaik, someone like Ashok Rudra, and the heavyweights of Indian academia. Even those who think that she could be a white woman, she could be American, who has a PhD from California. Her arguments were not just published just like that. The debates on socialism, let's take, and let's say the debates on peasant movement. When she was debating with Utsa Patnaik, there were moments when she lost the debate. It was very fine to lose an academic debate in the pace of EPW, but later Gail also retrieved the debates. Someone like Balgopal was debating with her. So imagine it's not just like she's an American, she's a white woman, so she got an easy access. She was debating with the activist intellectual called Balgopal, also the economist Utsa Patnaik. Second point. Third point is, I do understand your filmmaking since I have been watching all your documentaries for a very, very long time. Since your first film and also since your MA days, we have known each other. So soon after her death, there were a lot of critical insights that were written on her. And in her obituaries, nobody, apart from Vigita and some people, nobody really could get a complete command on what she offered in the scholarship. Vigita wrote in the Indian Express, and some people, Kancha wrote some good obituary piece. It would have been little, convincing to the contemporary current readers if you could have added, let's say, what Vigita had to offer, what Kancha had to offer, or let's say, Professor Ramesh Kamble is very brilliant, one of the best sociologists that the Bombay circles could ever have. So if you could take perspective from pan-India, it looked like you're in the Maharashtrian setting. and that Maharashtrian setting has to, take some steps outside. See, Dalit movement should not be seen only from the Dalit Panthers or only from the Maharashtrian point of view. Movement is beyond Maharashtra. Movement is outside Maharashtra also. I do respect the Panthers thinking. I do respect the, Bombay thinking, but people outside also are trying to do something. Na? There are similar movements happening elsewhere, and people are also writing something very similar. So you could have taken some insights. So that would have been little good. Otherwise, it's all good. You don't have to respond anything. It's all fine from my side.
Okay. See, I think someone, I think Y.S. Alone in JNU, when we screened the Chaitambhumi, he says, your film is more Maharashtrian. And I'm from Maharashtra, and I have few limitations also, right? Travel, resource, and thing is that anybody can take initiative and make a film, another film on Gail Omvedt. There are 5 films on Bhagat Singh, right? 6 documentaries on Rohit Vemula. I think on Baba Saheb also 3-4 films are there. If this film is like this much drawback, someone take initiative, spend the time, take a camera, and make a different film. This is maybe it's a limitation, and this is my idea to tell the story. So, I have just that thing. If anybody wanted to have different opinion or different suggestions, they can spend their time. And in my thing, people are not ready to work serious work. Okay, they just wanted to sit in university libraries and, but they don't want to. Documentary, every frame you need to present there. And another thing about film is a film. Film is not a research paper. I think that, when we screened this film in Kolhapur and we invited Gopal Guru, he's also confused after watching the film. I say, it's and interestingly, the first question, what we need to take, I think I suggest many my friends that if you wanted to learn something on caste, avoid to read upper caste writers. Serious note, I'm telling. Maybe it's a problematic statement, whatever. Just avoid to read them. You mentioned the 3 names, right? Just imagine how they delete Alinar Zealot. Sudipto, there is no single proper interview on Alinar Zealot. I just found one photograph that I'm going to add in a final film, Gail and Alinar, one photograph, just one photograph I found. Actually, Gail come to India because of Alinar. There is a connection between there is a connection, joint Dewey, Ambedkar, Alinar Zealot and Gail Omvedt. And there are many people who are working. But see what we have on Alinar. She was she just not take a citizenship. Equally important work, like Gail Omvedt. And I think I never found, I was hard to try to search because, Suraj interview, he talk about this connection. But I don't found the footage to, add in between. And that last scene, I kept the scene very a silent kind of thing. Actually one day, this Bharat Patankar, this is just 3 months before her death. And I was in a town, and he just called me to come for a breakfast. And I just go with my camera, and they give me some poha or something, and I was just sitting here, and they are there. And I just keep my camera like this, and I see this, and they have always keep some songs. And then I stop and just starting recording. So, and that was actually my last meeting with the Gail. And 1 week before her death I met, but she not recognized me. And yeah, that scene is very painful for me also, because that was before her death I recorded just that scene. Yeah. Thank you, Jai Bhim.
I think that's all. We can take the rest of the questions outside. Thanks for joining us. Another loud round of applause for Somnath, please.
And for you, Sudipto, thank you very much for engaging. Thank you all, hoping to carry this conversation forward into our everyday lives. Thank you.